up, guys? It's your boy Barca Boy 103, and welcome to today's video. We're going to be discussing, analyzing, and covering Deco's interview yesterday with La Vanguardia, where he has gone in depth on what Barcelona's current plans are in the transfer window and future plans as well. Very blunt here from the Barcelona sporting director. I think the interview was so impactful and strong that it deserves a video of its own. Of course, before we get into it, make sure you guys smash the like buttons down below and subscribe as well if you haven't already. And let's get right into it. He was firstly asked on why Barcelona needs a winger. He said, we need to strengthen that position. As wingers, we only have Lamine Yamal and Rafinha because Ferran Torres is increasingly becoming a center forward. When Lamine or Rafa aren't available, the team's level drops. The names we look at depend on price and quality. He's 100% spot on here. I wouldn't even classify Rafinha as a natural winger, so you could really entail that Lamine is the only one. Now here he also hints, as you can see, he said the only wingers we have are Lamine and Rafa. No mention of Ansu Fati, which means that Ansu Fati is probably out the door sooner rather than later. Then Deco's asked on whether Nico Williams fits Barcelona's criteria. He said, look, there's a clear standard of any player who comes to Barcelona. First, they must believe in the project. It didn't happen with Nico Williams last summer, although back then I prioritized the signing of Dani Olmo. Now both Nico and other players are clearly showing that they want to come, and if Nico's circumstances work out, we will go for it. A little bit of a lie here where he says that last season our priority was Dani Olmo. That's not true. It's prioritized after Nico Williams wasn't really being receptive. But also here he hints here that Nico Williams wasn't too receptive to the sporting project last summer as well. But now things are different and we'll see. Then as on paying Nico Williams 60 to 64 million euro release clause. And he said, to sign a player, you have to follow the proper steps. First, you speak with the agent, then you talk about the contract details, and then finally, you see if the club will negotiate or insist on the release clause. In Nico's case, it's very clear. He has a release clause. We've already met with his agent to understand what the player wants, and from there, we'll see if things is possible. So already confirming that he had a meeting, which everybody knows about. It was already leaked, and now they're trying to, fine tune the details. But again, in the media, they're already saying personal terms are agreed. The contract between Barcelona and Nico Williams is already agreed, widely reported, widely confirmed. But Deco here playing a little bit of hardball, saying that's not quite agreed, we're still talking, blah blah blah. So trying to leave the window very open. He doesn't want to really give all the power too much to Bilbao, since he wants to get maybe some better terms on that payment of the release clause. Then he was asked on Lamine Yamal's friendship with Nico Williams. He said, look, we always care about keeping harmony in the locker room. We have a very good group and we want to maintain that, but players like Nico Williams, even main dropped Luis Diaz as well, and others are good people. They're hungry and they want to succeed. The fact that he name drops Luis Diaz for me is crazy. The fact that, it's quite clear that we're obviously going for Nico Williams, but this guy's still twerking for Luis Diaz. Like, give it up, bruh. Then ask on whether the friendship influence his signing. So whether friendship with other players that they have in the current Barcelona team influence signings. For example, you could say Gundogan last summer when he was great friends of Ter Stegen, maybe Dani Olmo last summer as well with all the Spanish people. He said Nico's name was already on the table last season. We've already had the idea of Nico in our mind. The fact that they're friends is a nice thing, but we're not handing out friend cards. This isn't a club of friends. We're here to work and to win. If we get along, great, but what matters is that he fits into what we're looking for. If he does, he'll be friends with everyone. If we sign a winger, there won't be another signing of that level. So saying that the winger sign that we spend 60 million will be the next and final big summer signing that we do make, which does make sense. I don't see Barcelona needing to spend more than 50 million euros on any other player this summer after signing a left winger. And I like the idea here that the priority is to win. If they're friends, great. If not, whatever. That really came up in that BBC versus MSN debate, where MSN were amazed, they went out for dinner, their kids hung out, and of course they balled out. Then you had the other version, BBC, where they weren't super close off the pitch, but on the pitch they won. So you can have it either way. Of course, the MSN way, the BFS forever. It has a great storyline, stuff like that. But either way works. Whether you're friends or not friends, the most important thing and what you will be remembered by the most is what you do on the pitch. And you don't have to be friends to go out and win. And that's the point that Deco is trying to make here. Then asked on the next big situation in regards to Marc-André Ter Stegen. He said, look, I don't need to talk to him. My job is to build the best possible team for the coach. That's not my role. Besides, there's no contract that says you're guaranteed to play. From there, it's the coach who makes the decision, and every player has their own ambition. So he's saying, I'm not going to talk to Ter Stegen. I'm building what the coach wants. It's up to the coach to, figure that out, which again, he is right. I think that Deco will definitely be maybe a part of that meeting, or maybe be in and about that. I don't think Flick will go into that meeting empty-handed, but he says here, I sign what's best for the team, and it's up to the coach to make those calls. Then he's asked on Szczesny and Inaki Peña, saying that look, Szczesny will renew his contract very soon, and Inaki Peña also has a contract. In his case, he'll make a decision at the right time. So saying that Szczesny se queda and Inaki Peña most probably out the door. On if Joan Garcia will be the starting goalkeeper, he said, look, we've made the decision to sign a young goalkeeper, which means he could play tomorrow, be on the bench, or play in a year or two. We have expectations for Joao, but they need to be fulfilled. Everyone has come here, starts from zero. No one arrives with an advantage. So again, staying on the fence, but we know for a fact that Joan Garcia wouldn't have signed if he wasn't going to be at least number one. So we know that's going to be a fact. He's of course keeping the door open that anything can happen. He also made the comparison last season with Marc-André to Liverpool. Remember, they had Alisson, best goalkeeper in the world. They signed the best and young Liga goalkeeper at the time in Marc-André from Valencia. They got him back for a year, and now Marc-André is going to come back to Liverpool to have that competition with Alisson. And they of course sold Kelleher to Brentford, Brighton, somewhere like that. So he kind of compared that situation to this one as well. Then asked on how Joan Garcia affects the future and status of Ter Stegen. Look, I have great respect for Marc, but with Joao, we had to make a decision for the present and for the future of the club. Now the coach will have to decide. When a player truly wants to leave, it's very hard to stop him, but that's not the situation that we have right now. So basically that right now, there's no movement in regards to Ter Stegen's departure, but again, that is up to the coach to make the call and have the talks. He's putting all the pressure there on Flick to get Ter Stegen out, pretty much. They was asked on Ansu Fati on his future. Of course, already had it added beforehand. We didn't mention him in the wingers. He said, look, with his age and his career, Ansu Fati cannot stay without playing. If he leaves, it'll most likely be a loan. He's 23, but people talk about like he's 30. He still has a lot of room to grow and a lot of room to learn as well. So that's also a good point. I mean, we're trying to say like, oh, Ansu Fati this and that, where he's still super young. But again, he's saying that he cannot stay with his current situation, which is of course not playing. That's going to be important for him to move on. Then asked on the center back situation, said that we have 5 center backs and one needs to leave because the position is overcrowded. Ronald Araujo is not in our plans to leave, and he has received unfair criticism last year. He's one of the best defenders in the world. More on Araujo. Said, look, what we want is to improve the team and not make it worse. And if we lose an important player like him, then we're making it worse. Ronald has a contract. He renewed in this year. He's endured a difficult season with unfair criticism. He's one of the best defenders in the world. Leaving isn't in Ronald's plans. So he's saying that a center back has to leave, but it's not going to be Araujo. It's not going to be Kubarsi. It's not going to be Inigo. Probably won't be Koundé or Eric Garcia. He's basically hinting here that we want Christensen to walk, which does kind of suck because I do really rate Christensen very highly, and I think we can survive with the center backs we do have, because you have in the 4 positions, of course, Kubarsi, Araujo, Inigo, Christensen. You probably have Koundé and Eric most likely playing as fullbacks on the right hand side. But if you are going to sign a new fullback and you want to have Eric more so as that 4th or 3rd center back option alongside playing a fullback, then yes, I think we should keep it the way it is. But Deco's here clearly saying that we have an overbooking at center back and someone will have to leave, and that someone is not going to be Araujo. So that's going to be a very interesting case to see how things do play out in that regard. Again, I'm not going to die on the Christensen hill. I'm not going to say, oh, he has to stay, blah. I think he's a fantastic talent. I think fully fit Christensen starts in this team. Probably starts alongside Kubarsi, I would say, long term. So that's just my opinion. If we let that go due to his fitness, wouldn't really disagree with it, but I do think it would be not the best of move, but we are going to miss on that, strong player, strong talent, and a strong opportunity to make this team level up than it already has in the last year. Then he was back again asking about the Joan Garcia transfer in regards to Espanyol and their approach. He said, look, Espanyol being angry. We never spoke to Joan Garcia before La Liga finished. We never talked to his agent to tell him that the player is open to Barcelona option. We would like to talk to him. And so it was. We sat down with him and explained the idea to him. We didn't have to convince him much. We have made the decision to sign a young goalkeeper. It means that he can play tomorrow or be on the bench or play in a year or two. We have expectations from Joao to start from scratch. Everyone here starts from scratch, and the coach will make the decision, which of course this quote already talked about from before, but saying that, look, we didn't talk to Joan Garcia until La Liga ended. We had one talk with him and he was convinced. So I think he's being a bit vague there. We all know that it took some convincing from Barcelona. I wouldn't say we had to bend our knees backwards and get on our, and beg, but we had to, really give him a few talking to. It wasn't something as straightforward as what he's implying here. There's asked on Frankie de Jong, so this is the Frankie de Jong version that we've seen recently that we want. We want him to stay with us. He has one more year, and we are going to analyze things calmly, again, in regards to his contract renewal, which probably be looking around September, December time, similar to Jules Koundé. But then again, the club don't really like to keep players on 1 year left on their deal too long, so we might even do Frankie de Jong's contract this year. Then asked on the future of Robert Lewandowski and the striker position, saying that there's no need to sign a striker this summer because we have Ferran Torres as he's becoming and shifting and molding into a number 9. We could also play Daniel Olmo as a false 9, and if Nico or Luis Diaz come, we can play without a fixed 9. The fact that he's dropping again Luis Diaz's name like that is crazy. You can't obsess when you're looking for a striker of Lewandowski's quality. So say we're not going to sign 9, we're going to have Lua and Ferran being the number 9. And if we do need a switch, we have, of course, Olmo that can play the 9. We have Fermin who can play the false 9. You can even play, Luis Diaz if we do sign him. I think him dropping Luis Diaz's name with him, being out of the running is crazy. I also think this is maybe him saying this Nico deal isn't going to be as straightforward as people maybe may point out, especially in the media. But name dropping Luis Diaz like this is not concerning for me, but something to definitely watch upon as things, progress later on. Finally, he was asked on the Ballon d'Or race, and look, Lamine Yamal has chances, just like Pedri does, just like Dembele or Vitinha. The nice thing is that Barcelona is back in these award pools, which should be fair. We didn't leave for too long. Of course, Messi won it in 2021 as a half Barcelona player, and then since then Benzema won it, Rodri, and then Messi. So we only missed out really on 3 years, and we didn't really get anywhere near top 10s, which of course now we will. But this is a very, very interesting interview from Deco. Of course, Tim got some great insights on the Nico Williams transfer, if he does go through or not, the behind the scenes of Joan Garcia, the behind the scenes of what we're going to do in the parties as well in regards to center backs, saying that Christensen most likely will be the one walking. Also, Fati going to be leaving as well, probably Inaki Peña, hopefully Ter Stegen, and then still name dropping Luis Diaz, even though now Nico Williams is clearly the number 1 target, the player that we're going to be going for, the player that we have decided that will be our left winger before preseason, hopefully. But he's still dropping all targets from before, which is something to keep an eye upon, in my opinion. But of course, in the comments down below, let me know your thoughts on the interview that's spoken, of course, from the sporting director. Do you agree with what he's been saying? Do you disagree? Do you agree with his movement in the market? Do you think he should be improving it elsewhere? Leave me all your thoughts down below. And of course, make sure you guys subscribe down below as well if you haven't already. And I will see you guys next time on the channel. Take care, and Forza Barca.